Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. This is Severin Henderson back again with another episode of Department 3C Presents, a podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking to another one of my friends. That's who I keep getting on my podcast, is all my friends and all my buddies. So, what good is having a show without having your friends come join you with it? So, today I'm going to be talking to Antoine Cruz. Me and Cruz met when I was at one of my part-time departments in Woodmere. He was part of a cadet type of program, and now he's gone on to do great, big, and better things. He is part of the Vanguards, which is the part of the International Association of Black Professional Firefighters in Cleveland. Again, that's where I'm from, Cleveland originally, so that's where I get to meet a lot of the people that I do know. And he's currently we were employed together in the city of East Cleveland, and we got a few stories about that, going to a lot of fires, having fun. And I moved here to Chicago. Cruz moved on to the city of Cleveland, not just the Department of East Cleveland, and that's where he's at now. So, without further ado, Antoine Cruz, can you please give a extra introduction of yourself to the listeners, please?
Okay. My name is Antoine Cruz. Currently, I am the president of the Vanguard, City of Cleveland. I've been with the City of Cleveland for about 3 years. I started my career at the City of East Cleveland. I was there for 9 years before I transitioned over to the City of Cleveland. During the time that I got to Cleveland, I got an opportunity to become an instructor, and I started a program at Warrensville that was called Fire Tech. It's for 11 to 12 graders that was looking to do an apprenticeship to get onto the fire department and to get the license to actually be certified as a firefighter with a 240 and as an EMT basic through Tri-C. My passion for this started at a very young age. I was in 11th grade and I was introduced to Vanguard. And they came in and they asked me how you feel about being a firefighter. And that was a thought that never even crossed my mind. I was looking forward to going to college, getting an education degree, and actually going on to be a teacher. When they brought this idea, I was actually able to leave high school my junior year, and I started off in the academy at Tri-C with adults. So I finished number one in my class and went on to become a firefighter, and that's how I led where I'm at now.
Okay, so you were in like an apprenticeship type of program where you just kind of went and learned. And like I said, that's where I met you from originally. We just went to different fire stations and you guys hung out, learned how we do things, all that other fun stuff. Tell me, they came to you and they sought you out. They sought a lot of your classmates out for the position. Tell me, before you had any inkling of what you wanted to do as being a firefighter, what was your other career aspirations?
My first thought is I wanted to be a English teacher. I write very well. I thought I can go on and be an English teacher. And they actually, when they brought the idea of becoming a firefighter, they said you're going to accrue a lot of debt. You're gonna go in debt from college loans, and this is a career where you can make more than being a teacher and actually work less than being a teacher. So that's pretty much what sold me.
Okay. So from being an English teacher to being a firefighter, how do you think that is going? Are you happy with the decision so far? Or what are you feeling right now?
Oh, I love it. I love it. Another thing that I didn't mention is you can retire in 25 years. I think, and I may not be correct, but I think it's 30 years that you have to put in to become, as a teacher to retire. So yeah, I'm loving it. I got about 13 years left, and I think I'm gonna walk away.
Then you can walk away. Okay, so you're already looking for the exit strategy, huh?
Well, it's time to go to Cali. It's time to go to Cali.
I know. You see, you spend a lot of time in Cali, so hey, got to beat that snow, right?
Yeah, I got to beat that snow.
Got to beat that snow we got in Cleveland. So, overall, you said you were in East Cleveland for 9 years, and you've been in Cleveland for 3 years. So, you got 12 years of experience with full-time departments, right?
No, this is my fifth. This actually is my fifth year.
Oh, fifth year. I'm sorry. You said 3 of the Vanguard. My apologies. So, let me redo my math. 9 plus 5, 14 years.
14 years.
14
Yep.
years. So give me some experience and some of that sage advice that you got from those 14 years of experience. Tell me what you give, some of the influences and experiences you give to some of the students in the programs.
What I tell them early, I tell them you want to get into the career, you want to start putting away into comp. Deferred comp. you want to start getting as educated as possible. That's the way that you can get the most out of your career. So start taking classes and getting educated as possible. That's the main thing that I want them to focus on.
Okay, so what does that program include? Like, I heard you say they go through EMT and they get their 240. A lot of people know what EMT is, but not everyone outside of the state of Ohio knows what 240 is. So can you explain that to me, please?
So them are the hours that you are required to obtain firefighter 1 and 2 license. Those hours will complete that firefighter 1 and 2 license. So that's what the 240 stands for.
Okay. That's what it is. I remember we had to get my 240, and I went get through the basic class, and then and in fact when I went it was A, B, and C, and that's what equaled up to 240. Now it's just 1 and 2. So little old people talk, but older people will know what I'm from Ohio will know what I'm talking about in EMT. So when they complete this program, what grade do they start in?
So they start off in 11th grade. The first year is 11th grade. They get awareness. They do all of their NIMS and they do basic practicals. When they get off to their senior year, they're allowed to do more hands-on activities, and that's when they get their clinical hours in and actually able to finish out that year to be certified. They 12th grade year.
Okay, so in junior year they start with all the FEMA programs, NIMS information, and then in the 12th grade when they seniors they start doing ride time and a little bit more fire stuff.
Right, they get their rad time, they get their clinical time, and that's when they start working towards the graduation.
Okay. Now, how does that go and translate with their regular school program? Like, they still have to do regular junior and senior classes, right?
Right. So the way it worked out, Ohio adopted the program. I think it was adopted in 2004, where they put it into the curriculum that counted as an elective. So any kid that's interested in getting fired, they will hold off their electives until their junior year. The fire and EMT counts for each elective that they need to handle, and including health, and that's what allows them to finish and stay into the program while doing the rest of their curriculum.
Okay. Now, with that program going on, how many students have we graduated from that program? Or have you graduated from that program?
I've been here since 2016. I am on my 26 students that we graduated.
26?
I have 26.
Okay.
I that we graduated. I have 7 now currently working in the service.
Oh, that's great. Okay. What about the other students? Have they gone any other direction?
Well, most of the students and I've been realizing this, that I get in fire tech is athletes. So after they graduate, they went on and they played basketball, or went on to college to play football. So that's where most of them went. I had one that went on to be a part of the band at Alabama A&M, if
Okay.
I'm correct. And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay. I know somebody that goes there as well. I have to ask them about that. We're going to Alabama A&M. So that's awesome that you had those 26 students, and then the 7 got to move on to the service, and then we're producing a lot of athletes. That sounds very similar to a program that we have here in Chicago. That's actually where I just left from, the Black Fire Brigade. We kind of do the same thing with EMT students and trying to help push them out and get them a career in the service, just a starting point. Because even if you go, you can work in a hospital, you can work in as an ER tech, you can work on a private ambulance. It just opens so many doors for you, and it gives you a skill set that you can do something with, even if you decide to go to college on top of that.
Okay. Now, are those high school students or adults?
Well, so there's 2 different programs I'm involved in, and those are adults, but they can be high school students as well. They would just have to do it on their own time as high school students. But there's another program we have in the city called the CFPTA. CPFTA. I always get it wrong, so forgive me, please, because I get the letters mixed up. Anyway, we have those students come, and they do it during their junior and their senior year. And now with COVID and everything, we have to do a lot of virtual teaching, a lot of virtual learning, but they still get the same education. So we meet on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and we talk to them about the different services. But with us, it's not just fire, it's police and fire at the same time. So So they get that education from both sides. So it helps out a whole lot. We like that program. And now in the city of Chicago, if you complete and go through that program, you get the opportunity to have points added to your test for the city of Chicago. So I know in Cleveland, you were part of that program, the MLK program, and they had the same thing, right?
Right, correct, correct.
So you got extra points for being part of the program. You got extra points because back, I don't all the way remember, but back in the day, you used to get points for residency, points for military, things like that, and you guys got extra points for being a part of that program.
Right. For the MLK program, it was they added 5 points to your overall total for the entry level test. When I went and I took the test, I was originally 137. Once they added my MLK points, it shot me straight up to number 15 on the list,
Oh
which got
wow.
me higher. Yeah. So it was a big difference, 5 points.
Okay. So yeah, that does make a whole lot of difference in there. And so I was gonna ask you, did you think being part of that program contributed to you being a part of the service? But that kind of goes without saying. That seems like it was just a no brainer.
Oh yeah. I think that program is it's for young adults who's getting into the career. They need that maturity. They need that extra kick. And I think that little help me because just getting straight into the service at the age of 18, going in without having any prior knowledge for a youngster is hard. I believe that's hard. I believe it's hard to get dedicated in just that amount of time. So yeah, I believe it. I believe it helps.
Okay. Well, that's what my book kind of speaks to. That's what the Hey New Guy books tries to help people out with that adjustment because even in there, I write that you go from being 18 and go just get a job with other 18-year-olds to when you're working with people just maybe the same age as your father or your dad or your uncle. So I feel like that having these opportunities to work with and have some guidance from people that have been there, it helps with that transition a little bit. Would you agree?
I agree. I mean, just hearing their life stories about where they messed up at. I mean, they try to yield you and stop you from making the same mistakes that they made. I give you Strong as an example. When I was first getting in, he said, "Youngster, slow down." That was one thing that he always told me. I didn't. I didn't. And I got myself into so much trouble. If it wasn't for them guys there helping me, I would have been off the service. But going in and having those senior man there and having that time to develop, you need it. You need it.
Yeah, you definitely need that time. It's like going off to college, any other type of career that you get into. You know, you're young, you think you know everything, you try and do everything, you think you super people, and at the end of the day, we find out sometimes the hard way that we're not, and we had to got to check ourselves. So
That's true. But I mean, I believe this. The big difference in that and going to college is you make one mistake in the fire service or you make one mistake on the EMS call, it could cost somebody their life. It can cost you your life. So yeah, you need that. You need that grounding.
there you go. That's what I love to hear. That you're right. You have to be cognizant of what you do. You can't just be out here making mistakes willy nilly. So, like you said, it's a little bit different than college. Some of the mistakes that we can make can cost either us or cost a patient. That's not what we want at all. So let's talk a little bit about our East Cleveland days. So you got hired a little bit after me. I was there. When did I start? I started there when I was 22 or 23 years old, and you came a little bit after me, and we had the opportunity to work together. For the people who don't know, East Cleveland is I describe East Cleveland a lot, but let me get a description from someone else. What would you describe East Cleveland as?
As a 2.5 mile big city. Um,
Okay, a
yeah.
2.5 mile big city. What else?
I mean, it's the terror zone. I mean, you see a little bit of everything you would never expect to see in the city of East Cleveland in that small area.
Is it used to be, I don't know about now, but it was a very densely populated area. I remember for those 2.5 miles, they had like upward of 20,000 residents at a time. And it was like people just lived on top of each other in this small little city.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and then like there was a lot of fires, a lot of gunshots, a lot of everything. That's what a lot of people don't get that from other areas. Like if you're from the Cleveland area, you know East Cleveland. Like, oh yeah, that's like real deal, real place to be. But outside of the local area, I don't think that it's a really known nationally type of department. What do you think about that?
No, East Cleveland, I wouldn't say it's known because anything outside of Ohio, you're gonna think Cleveland every time you say East Cleveland. But they are two totally separate cities. For me, when I was growing up, East Cleveland was like a place where it was a little different from Cleveland because we didn't have those games that East Cleveland had. Like that was a heavily game. I mean, they was big on games. I never seen red versus blue until I crossed that line and went to East Cleveland. So
Yep.
it was different. Yeah.
Right. So in Cleveland, it was more blocks because, the blocks were big. I mean, we still had like gang activity, but nothing like East Cleveland. When you went over there, it was, like I said, it's like a totally different, it's like somebody flips a switch when you're going like through the neighborhoods, right?
hmm Like the dark side. I'll give you a story. I'll give you a quick story, and this is before I even became a firefighter. We used to have to catch the 41 and go up to Southgate to go play. To go bowling,
Hmm.
and I had to go up to East Cleveland and wait for the bus, and the Jays just came out, man. And I had my red shoestrings, and true enough, somebody came out and they said, "Man, what are you doing with them shoestrings?" And I'm from Cleveland, so if you ain't on somebody's block, it totally changed from just that little walk. And he made me take my shoestrings out. I think that was the last time I caught the bus in East Cleveland.
You had broke up a little bit in between there, but just to kind of recap, you said you had red shoestrings. They came up to you, said, "What you doing with them red shoestrings?" And you had to take them out right then and there.
Turns out, I think that was the last time I caught the bus in East Cleveland. I ain't know nothing. I thought I was safe.
Yeah, that would be the last. Now, speaking of that, you was catching a bus. Were you at the Windermere station?
No, I wasn't at the Windermere. I was on. I think I was on Noble, right there on Noble and Euclid.
Okay, Noble and Euclid. So the reason I was asking you about the Windermere station, that's where one of our mutual stories happened at the Windermere station. So you want me to tell it, or do you want to tell it?
Yeah, I can start it off if you want to finish it. Yeah, I'll start it off.
Start
If
it
you don't
off.
mind. So we at the station. We get the call for shortness of breath over at the rapid station. We pull up and it's a female. I think she's close to her 40s, maybe 38, close to her 40s, but she was there with her boyfriend, and she was complaining shortness of breath. She was having chest pain. So part of our protocol for chest pain, we get her on the back and we ask him to sit up front. They sit up front. We're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna check her out. So in the midst of checking her out, he keep looking back, and we wondering what's going on, but we let her know, hey man, is it okay if we expose you a little bit? We got to put some leaves on your chest. So he looked back. He said, "Hey man, what are y'all doing?" We tried to tell him again, just be calm. We're gonna check her out. We're gonna get her to the hospital real soon. So we proceed on. We go ahead and we put the leads on. By this time, he works his way through the middle of the squad, and he's in the back, and he's sitting next to I think he's sitting next to you, right?
Yeah,
Sitting
he
next
was
to you,
sitting
right?
next to me. Yep.
Right across. I'm right across from them, but Seb is working. I'm kind of watching him. And he's like, man, what are you doing? You can tell right now he's getting a little anxious. He's getting mad because we are working on his female. He's a little bit overprotective. So after a couple of minutes, he get a little bit closer, and then we see something come out of his jacket.
Yeah.
True enough. So if you want to,
Yeah, so he had a knife, but I don't remember what kind of knife. It wasn't like a real, like, scary knife. Wasn't it like a steak knife or something?
steak knife, like something you'd have never seen coming out of his pocket.
Yeah, like who carries around a steak knife? But this is what this guy has. So he just pulls out this steak knife, and like I was the medic and you was the EMT because we was working 1-on-1 back then, and I was
Yep.
doing my thing, and I was kind of letting you do your thing because you was getting ready to. In fact, you were in medic school, so it was kind of like guiding you and letting you see what was happening and see how to do run calls. And like you said, this dude pulls out this steak knife. So it's just like, and she started crying, and he started yelling, and it was just all over the place. So next thing, we have that side door on the ambulance. So you pick this dude up. I open the door for you to pick him up, and we throw him off of the ambulance. Say, "Don't you ever come on here again with a steak knife trying to do anything, say anything to us." We close the door. We pull up a little bit, pull around. He's outside of the ambulance yelling, "Hey, hey, hey, let me in!" And like I said, his girlfriend, she's crying. "Oh, why'd y'all do that?" He say, "Do you want help or not?" She was like, "Yes, I do." So after that, we take her to the hospital. We do everything we're supposed to do. We do a 12 lead on her at the time. We give her all the medications we're supposed to do. We start her IVs, everything, and we get her to the hospital. So
okay, the super PG version. So I'm gonna give.
Yeah, I am telling the PG version. So give us the harder rated version.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the little harder rated version. So he's in the back, mind you. We had to warn this guy 4 or 5 times. Do not come back here. We are working. Do
Yeah,
not come back.
yeah,
Time he getting that, we already, we watching him like we aware that he ain't got them all, and she's complaining like, hey, baby, just let him work. Now she's telling us to, just do your job. He's always like this. He always like this. So anyway, he's still getting closer, and they'll continue to work. We doing our job. We have to check this lady out, and he's not happy with it. So here we go. Now he's like, hey, I said, get off my woman. Pull the knife. And I'm like, Sam, you got a knife.
yeah.
Pull the knife out. Now it wasn't easy getting him out of that side door. We had to do a little bit of work to get him out that side door. Which, you may get hurt when you're trying to get somebody out the side door. So we got him out of there. It was rough. We had to do a little bit of work. We got him out. We finished working her. We got her to the hospital. We checked her out. Got her in there real safe. Now we en route back to the station. Right before you get to that bridge, we usually call in service. 141 in service. Let East Cleveland know we was in service. East Cleveland 141. What do you got? You got a call for assault at the
At the
rapid
Windermere
station.
Rapid Station. And we like, man, what is going on? So we go to the rapid station, and the police are there. The police are the ones that call for us. We pull up, we see the guy. Said, "Those are the ones that assaulted me." That's who. And that was the best part of the whole thing, because he was like, "Those are the guys who got me." It was like, "Well, we ain't get you. We was telling you to chill out. We was trying to help your girlfriend out." He wasn't feeling that at all. So, needless to say, we didn't have to take him back to the hospital. We got the police dealt with him from that point.
Yeah, that was a fun call.
But the thing is, the part about it was you, because, like you said, we had to get him off of there, and it was hard getting him off of there. And like I said, I opened the door. You had already picked him up. Then we got him side by side, just kind of gave him the heave ho. You know what it looked like if people watched the Fresh Prince when they used to throw jazz out all the time? That's what I'm sure it looked like. You're like, ah! He just hit the ground and rolled. And like I said, we closed the door, pulled up a little bit, did what we had to do. Because we couldn't pull off because we wasn't done working yet. And so we just locked the doors, and he was out there being mad.
Yeah, he was out there mad. She told, and the saddest part, she's like, "Pull up on him, just leave him."
Just leave him. He do this all the time. Exactly. So, I had to tell the story with that, 'cause that was one of our funnest times. I mean, at the time it wasn't fun. We was like, oh man, what's gonna happen with this? But now that we look back on it, it was all good. Worked out for us.
Definitely fun.
And plus, the statute of limitations is gone now. So I don't even nobody, no one knows what happened. I don't even know if they had that written down anymore.
I mean, we got the right to protect ourselves, and we was definitely in danger. He had a knife.
We was definitely in danger. There you go. So, all right. So let me get back a little bit about your career going forward from East Cleveland. So, like you said, you transitioned from the city of East Cleveland to regular Cleveland. How was that transition for you, going from East Cleveland is a smaller department. We had about 50-something members. We had 2 stations. Even though we were small, we were busy. How was it going from the city of East Cleveland to the city of Cleveland?
Oh, it was a big transition. In the academy, I started to realize one thing, that in East Cleveland, you didn't have a specific job. I mean, you did whatever it took to put that fire out. When I got to Cleveland, I was assigned to an engine company, and I mean, that was the only thing I did was engine work. And each time a guy come in, I will always try to do everything I could. And they have to let me know, hey, Cruz, you're not in East Cleveland no more. You guys you assigned to an engine company. All you do is engine work. And
Yeah, I had the same issue when I got here. I went to a truck company when I first got here, and it was like, yeah, don't mess with that hose. Don't look over there at all. They do their job, you do your job. Everybody has their specific job to do. Whereas coming from East Cleveland, like you said, we did everything. We pretty much just got the rigs there, and then once we got them there, we just went to work. And to me, that East Cleveland is one of the greatest small departments I've ever been a part of or had the pleasure of working with. And like every person that worked there was a dedicated hard worker. I still, to this day, will put those firefighters there up against probably any. If we had firefighter competition, I would put them up against any firefighters in the country, the world, and go to work and watch them do their job effectively.
all day. Yeah, another thing that was kind of interesting to me when I left was the pre-connects. I don't know how you guys got it in Chicago still, but in Cleveland, they don't use pre-connects, and that was something that that was ruthless to get used to. I think my third day on the streets, I was driving.
Hmm.
All the guys, and I was driving, and just to pump and go back there and have to count those lengths that was coming off was different for me. So just that whole transition of leaving out of there and being used to going up and putting out the fire, then coming back and then overhauling and doing truck work. I mean, that was something to get used to for me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, here we have engineers. They have, like in East Cleveland, we used to have a rotation of who would drive and who wouldn't. Here, you have a person who drives the engine, and that is their promoted position. So that person, they count the lengths, put them back on in the right order, everything else. And then speaking of pre-connects, we have them here. We very, very, very rarely use them. I remember in East Cleveland, that was the thing. We had 150 on one side, 200 on the other side. And it's just whoever got there, whoever got to the pipe first, that's who was going, that's who was leading out. And then on top of that, we only had three guys on the engine. So it was the one guy pumping, then you had the guy who was acting as the officer. He's really being a firefighter, and then you had the other guy sitting in the back. So you'd be lucky if you had a rider that day to help you, and you just tell them to hump holes, shag holes, pull here, pull there. It just was a whole different experience. And what did they say? God protects babies and fools. So I don't know if we was babies or fools, but luckily we didn't have anything bad happen to us. So
Nah, I mean, even being there, I'm realizing like the volume of fire that we were seeing in East Cleveland. It was almost. I mean, I seen so many fires in that short the 9 years that I was there. Now being in Cleveland, it's a little bit less than what I was seeing in East Cleveland.
hmm
So an experience to bring it over.
yeah, I remember when I went to police academy. I went up the hill to Cleveland Heights, and the city ran their own police academy. So this is a freebie idea for anybody who's listening to it. And I even gave it to the mayor at the time. Right before I left, I'm like, East Cleveland should have its own fire academy, because as many fires that happen here, you could teach people a world of knowledge in just a little bit of time of an academy. But it never came to fruition. But like I said, somebody, you can have that one. That's a freebie for the world.
Oh yeah.
But now you're doing that in Warrensville pretty well. Now you were a part of that program in Warrensville and helping those kids out. So it the idea is not wasted. Somebody's still using it, and you still got a lot of good information, the good tactics that you're using, and passing on that knowledge to people in that Northeast Ohio area.
hmm
Okay, so we kind of went through the things I wanted to ask you and talk to you about. Is there any other things, any other topics you want to hit on or talk to me about, or tell us anything, tell my listeners anything?
I do. I mean, right now, and I know this is a touchy topic, but I mean, you get almost a touchy answer every time you ask this question. I mean, how do you feel about this coronavirus vaccine?
Oh, great question. I love that. So, that's actually another guest I have coming on. We're going to talk about the same thing. So, it is a very touchy subject, and people give you a lot of different answers. But what I feel is, a lot more times than not, when you speak to someone and they give you information, a lot of times it's misinformation, and it speaks to like anti-vaxxer type of thing. Some people like it's too new, it's too quick. Other people are like, well, science says it's good. Other people say, well, everything science say is good ain't good. Then they talk to you about Tuskegee experiments and giving people different diseases just to test it out on them and everything. So right now, I am still undecided. I did sign up to get the information, because we have a sign up on our department where you can get the opportunity to take it if you want. I signed up for that to see if I want to go further ahead, and I've been reading a lot of studies, but I have not made up my mind definitively one way or another. How about you?
I mean, I signed up. I checked the yes mark in the city of Cleveland. If you would have checked the no mark, it said you would have failed the Con Ed for the sign up. But yeah, I checked the yes mark. But this is where I stand on it. Right now the vaccine is out, and I've been trying to follow close to see the reactions of people that's been taking it. I made my mind up that I am going to take it. I want to hold off as long as possible so that I know what I'm getting myself into after following the stories of the people that took it. One of my guys, and you might remember him. Remember Bernardo that worked at Huron.
Yep, I
He
want to
was.
get him too. I want to talk to him. I'm trying to track him down as well.
Oh yeah, I talked to him this morning. So he took it. He took it. Um, he said the last couple of days he been feeling well. After he had a little bit of pain in his shoulder, but most vaccines you are going to have that pain.
Mm-hmm.
But he say overall he feels good. He feels good, and he studied. He did the research and seen as much to make him feel comfortable with it. So I just want to check it out just a little bit more, but I'm not saying no for sure.
Right.
I'm not saying.
That's our American Ninja Warrior, Mike Bernardo. So that's why I said I want to get him and talk to him about that. So he's like in super shape on top of that. So we even still, but like you said, you want to know what you're getting yourself into.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you talking to me. President of the Vanguards, used to be part of the Warrensville program, but still promoting them, still pumping them up. And all that's good stuff. I'm really excited. I'm really happy to see you and see where your career is going, because a lot of times you get to see people and see what happens to them and they don't do anything, but you actually took this ball and you running with it and doing great things with it. Real quick before I go, speak to me really quick about being president of the Vanguards. What's that entail? What's that involve? And do you have any plans for the future of that position?
Right now, this is my, I think, 18th day as president. Lately, I've just been trying to understand a lot of the information that's been passed on to me. I've been doing a lot of studying with a lot of the older guys to find out the history of things that I may have missed while coming up through the ranks to become president. One of my biggest plans as president is to make sure that I'm part of the diversifying the city of Cleveland. Right now, we got one female. During my tenure, I hope to see that change to upwards 50. Another thing that I want to start seeing is more programs for these youngsters. I am big on high schoolers. So one thing that I am going to push is bringing back the MLK program. Like I said before, it took me from 137 to number 15. It's proven to be a program that works as long as the people behind them. So I want to be that push that make that program work. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is Explorers program. We got youngins in this city, and there's a lot going on, similar to what's going on in Chicago with these shootings. So I believe that we start grabbing them younger, start exposing them to careers where they don't think that they need to be rappers or drug dealers, where they can work and be productive. And we want to start catching them early. So that's part of my plan. So after the pandemic slow down, the Vanguards is going to be in the schools regularly. We're going to have our hands on these kids to some sort, and we're going to change some lives. So that's my plan.
I like that. Say we're gonna change some lives. That's absolutely what we want to hear. And that's what we're here for, to change people's lives, to help people out. We're trying to push and motivate. And like you said, I really appreciate what you said. We don't want these kids thinking the only thing they can do is play sports or be entertainers. There are jobs for us to do, and we can be productive members of society and beyond. So I appreciate that. Cruz, thank you very, very, very much. If you need anything, reach out to us here at Department 3C. Of course, you can reach out to me because we buddies, like I said at the beginning. And I appreciate you coming on and talking to me. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, I'll talk to you later on. All right, welcome back for the second part of the episode. Today, I am talking to my recurring guest, BFF, Troy Berry. He's making faces, even though you can't see it, but we're on a Zoom call looking at each other, and we're going to talk about some different issues that's going on in the world right now. Again, like I said, it's just my recurring buddy that's going to start his own. Well, he has his own podcast. We just keep waiting for the episodes to come out. So in the meantime, we're just going to feature him on here anytime he wants to come on and we get the opportunity to talk to him. So, Troy, tell us how you been so far. How you been since the last time we spoke on the show?
I've been good. I think since the last time when I tore my rotator cuff, but other than that,
Oh,
ain't nothing changed. Just been off of work, and I can't
ain't
work with the
nothing.
torn rotator cuff. Don't go back to work till February,
Right.
end of February.
Okay. Okay. So taking care of yourself until the end of February. That sounds fun. So last time we talked, we talk about a myriad of different subjects. We talk about sports, we talk about politics, you my political science graduate from college and all that other fun stuff. You had a prediction that Donald Trump was going to lose the
I
election,
didn't say
and
that.
that came to
Oh, yeah,
fruition.
lose.
Yes, you
Yeah, lose.
did. Yeah, lose. That's what I said. You said he was going to
Right.
lose. And so that's what I'm saying. That came to fruition. Tell me how you knew that was going to happen, and what do you expect going forward in the political landscape in the country right now?
Well, I kind of figured he'd lose because, mainly because of COVID, because of the way that he, handled COVID and didn't want to take responsibility for it and tried to put the responsibility on the states. But at the end of the day, he's the leader of the country, and with a pandemic, that the pandemic that we had, it was so devastating to the country. I thought it would be hard for him to recover from it, because of the way he handled it. And also, it was other things. It's just his presidency was very turbulent, and he didn't really seem like a leader, and he turned a lot of people off. So I just figured everything would switch back to normal because, even though we're a divided nation, we still want good leadership. And you have people that do think he has been a good leader, but obviously the majority of people think that he's been a terrible leader. That's why he got voted out of office.
That was you led me already into my next question, because I was going to say some people thought he did a good job. So what about those people who still think that he has done a good job, has did a good job, and he's the best guy for the job? What do you have to say to those people?
Well, like people have their own ideas as to what is right and what is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Especially in this day and age. Like typically there's just right and wrong. There's not no stipulations on it. There's not any, well, it's right because of this, or well, it's right because of these alternative facts. No, it's either right or it's wrong. And the other thing that goes on with people is people hate to admit their own ignorance. Like you can have a person put a cup in front of you that's a red cup that might have some orange writing on it. You say, look, that cup is mainly black. Mainly red. And say, well, it got orange on it, but it's a red cup. It just have, orange writing.
The
But
orange
it's
writing
still
on
a
it.
red cup.
Okay.
But they'll say, well, it's an orange and red
Okay.
cup. You know what I'm saying? Even if the majority of it is red. So, people don't want to admit their own ignorance. People don't want to admit to being wrong. And people have their own ideas as to, like I said in the beginning, what's right and what's wrong instead of is it right or wrong? You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
that's kind of where we at right now.
Okay. Well, I can understand that. I can listen to that. I have a lot of different people that offer a lot of different opinions on the presidency. They look at stock markets, and they look at their not paychecks, but their stock markets pretty much. In the fire department, in the fire service, we have deferred comp, and a lot of people look at that and they're like, "Oh yeah, all my stuff is up, everything going sweet."
Right.
So a lot of times they don't look at the bigger picture, and they really appreciate the job that he did business wise.
But
So,
everything ain't just business though. I mean, 'cause look, like you,
well, what is
I have
everything?
a 401k. My 401k has been doing good, because of the stock market.
Uh-huh.
But the whole thing about that stock market is, especially right now, that stock market is kind of fake. It's not based on what has been happening with the country. Because back at the beginning of the pandemic, the Fed pumped $3 to $4 trillion into the stock market to keep the stock market afloat. You know what I'm saying? So is the stock market doing good because he's doing good, or is the stock market doing good because the Fed said we can't let this guy destroy the stock market. And
Oh,
and
okay. So that brings up an extra
and
point.
that's kind of how I looked at it, and that's kind of how you have to look at it, because you have to follow what's going on in the country rather than just seeing something saying, "Oh, look at that." But you have to delve into it deeper to really know what's going on, because the stock market had crashed. It went all the way down to like 18,000 points. And the Fed
Mhm.
saw that. They said, "No, we can't let this happen." So they pumped 3 to 4 trillion, not billion, not million, $1 trillion of our own money back into the stock market. So the stock market isn't
Mhm.
doing good because of, especially before the election, it wasn't doing good because of Trump. It was doing good because they were trying to save it. And they popped it back up. And, during the summer, the virus had kind of waned a little bit. And so the stocks were able to continue to rise and rise. And even right now, the stock market is also up because of what investors and everything that controls that see what's going to happen under a Biden presidency as opposed to a Trump presidency. And I'm going to say one more thing now that you get your next question. Like, if you go back to when Trump was first elected, the stock market dropped by over 800 points. A lot of people didn't pay attention to that. You know what I'm saying? But when Biden was, that Saturday, it said that he was the president-elect. That Monday, the stock market jumped by 800 points. And it's a bit of a myth that the stock market performs better under Republicans. That's not true. If you can go back and look at the numbers don't lie. The numbers are there to be seen. The stock market has always performed better under a Democrat. But you can't tell people that don't want to see the truth. They just want to see what they believe.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your answers. They very articulate. I like that answer. I mean, it spoke to what I was asking. So, in addition to that, you started off and you said COVID is kind of what brought him down. What do you think about how we're dealing with COVID and the COVID numbers right now, currently?
We're not dealing with it. It's out of control.
Okay, well, tell me about it. That's why I'm asking.
It's out of control because there's been no leadership from the top, and there's not been a good enough example of how to contain it. Like, they tell us to wash our hands and, wear masks and social distance. But at the very beginning of this, they didn't harp on it enough, and you have all these people who, because the president or just listening to their friends, didn't take it serious enough, and they don't, even at this point, they still don't wear masks, they still don't wash their hands, they don't social distance, they have parties, they travel. Like, we got a friend right now that's out of town. You know what I'm saying? They've been traveling the whole pandemic. People
Yeah.
don't listen, and because people don't listen, it's why it's out of control. We've been averaging over 3,000 deaths a day. I think it dropped down to like 2,800 one day, but for this week, we're averaging at least 3,200 deaths a day, and that's what? That's 21,000 people a week. That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, and it's all because people don't want to listen. And everybody, well, I'm an American. I have my freedoms. I have my rights. Yeah, you do have your rights. You also have the right to not be an idiot. You had the right to do what you're told.
Well, a lot of people still don't believe that it's real. I love those memes that say racism and COVID are like cousins, because if it's not happening to you, you don't believe it's real. And that's what seems like is going on. We just this week, we lost another member of the Chicago Fire Department to COVID complications. We had a paramedic pass away, and that's just not good. It's not, I can't think of any other word to use, but it's just not what's up. The people are dying and people just don't care. Because to me, in my opinion, even if you think it's fake, that's fine. But wouldn't it be more beneficial for you to think it's fake and still just go along with it so no other people die, just to go along or to not buck against the system? Because to me, it's more like you said, I'm an American. I can do what I want. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. That's everything. Free country with that. But it's still causing people to die by you not playing by the rules. So what do you think of that?
It's that kind of, I call that a disease of Americans. Americans don't, people in general, but, particularly here, and you can talk about it because of the pandemic. And like you said, people don't care until it hits them. Everything is, something is fake until it affects them. You know what I'm saying? Like take for instance, like the school shootings and stuff. You will always hear it. This ain't supposed to happen around here. But so it's supposed to happen somewhere else?
So where is it supposed to happen? Right.
It ain't supposed to happen anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So until somebody is touched by something that's, out of the ordinary or something that they consider fake, they're not going to take it serious. And that's unfortunate because that's what has allowed the virus to spread. Then people say, well, I can get it. People can say, well, I can get it and I'll be all right because I'm young, I'm healthy, I work out, I can beat it. But you're contagious. You might pass it to somebody that can't beat it. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to be careful, not just for yourself, but for everybody else. It's like driving a car. Like one of the first things you're taught when you start driving, don't just drive for you. You got to drive for everybody.
You got to drive for everybody around you. Yeah.
Exactly. Because if you driving like an idiot, it's going to affect the people around you. And them idiots that's driving like an idiot behind you, it can affect you. It's the same thing with this pandemic. You know what I'm saying? But people don't think like that. And, that's why we going to be over 400,000 deaths by the time the inauguration day is come.
Okay. Well, that's too bad. But, all we can do is speak about it and try and speak the right things to the situation because you just try and educate people from your layman standpoint, at least me, because I'm not a professional on pandemic response or anything, but just try and let people know, just try and inform people of what might help because at the end of the day, that's all we can do is try and push towards what might help.
Right.
So what do you expect from this new presidency? Well, it's new to us, this new presidency coming up with the Biden presidency.
Well, let's back up. Do you want to talk about vaccines?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about. Well, in fact, let's get there now because before when I talked to you, I asked you which vaccine did you like, which vaccine did you prefer, and who should take it. So yeah, let's go there. Let's talk about that.
It's funny. Like after we had that conversation, I was doing my news readings because I try to read like 20 different things a day just to stay up on what's around me. And like when we had spoke earlier, I said, well,
show prep.
Little bit. I had said that, first responders, nurses and doctors and grocery store workers should get it. And the other group that I left out, which I can't believe I did, is teachers. You know what I'm saying? Those should be the first ones to get it. And I was, like I said, I was going through my news readings, and literally a New York Times article popped up that said the exact same thing that we was talking about. That CDC recommends that, you guys and other first responders, doctors, nurses, grocery store workers, and teachers get the vaccine. I said, look at that. That's interesting.
Yep, just talked about it. And my first guest that I had on here, he's a first responder also, and he said he's made up his mind what he's going to do. And he talked about another friend that we have that got the vaccine already. And I was telling him how I was undecided, not because of any vaxxer or any anti-vaxxer things. I just kind of want to see what happens. That's all.
That makes
sense. So, go ahead.
No, I say that.
So during our show prep when we were talking before, we were talking about who was making the vaccine. You know, Pfizer is making the vaccine, Moderna is making the vaccine, and I asked you which one you would go with, and you said, "Well, go ahead and tell us what you
Don't
said."
forget Johnson
Pfizer.
and Johnson. They making one too. Um,
I did forget about Johnson
yeah,
and
Johnson
Johnson.
and Johnson is making one, but to answer your question, yeah, the Pfizer. You know, if you're going to get one, for me anyway, you know, that'd be the one that I want because they've been doing it since the early 1900s. They helped fight the Spanish flu. You know,
Uh
way
huh.
back in the mid 1900s or whatever. That Moderna, that company just started in 2016. They're out of Boston, and when they got started, they had a lot of turnover and real ambitious thoughts and things they wanted to do, and the CEO was in a battle with the scientists and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So they're relatively new to all this stuff. So you know, for me, I want to go with something that's the standard.
Right. Somebody that's got
I
some
mean,
time doing it.
right, and not saying that Moderna or Johnson and Johnson don't know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, you know, if you get in the house built, you want some builders that's been building houses for a long time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So not that you can't trust the others, but you know, you want to go with the standard.
Right. So what we were going with. So first responders, grocery store workers, teachers, those are the people we think should be first in line. And then, like I said, Pfizer, they coming out with one. The Moderna, they have one. And I did forget about Johnson and Johnson because they haven't been as big in the news as the other two have
Right.
been.
Nursing home patients too. Don't forget about them.
Yeah, nurse home patients too, because right, people come to visit, spread everything
People
else.
over 75 years old, just don't, you know,
Hmm.
older people. Older people.
Somebody just sent me an article talking about how people in different states are trying to pay extra money to jump ahead in line. Have you heard anything like that?
Nah, that's news to me. But you know, it's expected. It
That's
ain't
the right.
surprising. You know,
That's the way of the country.
exactly. That's America, man.
I have to send you that. So after that, like I was asking you before, what do you expect? Do you expect anything? Well, I'm sure we do different with this Biden presidency than we had before, because even the presidency before that, we had a pandemic response team. And I think a lot of this could have been avoided if that team would have stayed intact. So now we have a vice president. Well, we have a president that was vice president during the time that that team was initiated. Do you see any changes, or what do you anticipate happening with this new leadership we have in the United States?
You know, you try not to expect the worst of people and things, but all of this stuff for me anyway was predicted. Maybe not this, but I knew something would come because it always does. You know what I'm saying? Something would come along that Trump would really have to deal with. I mean, in his administration, they would really, really, really have to deal with, or we could be doomed. And if you just go back on the guy's track record, he's never handled adversity well. He will either try to lie his way out of it, spend his way out of it, or just let it, you know, be what it be. That's why he's had all the bankruptcies. And how do you lose a casino? How do you bankrupt a casino? You know what I'm saying?
When people coming to you to give you your
They
give
come
them
and
your
give
money,
them, you know, give you their money. And
and the house never loses
you know what I'm saying?
except for in those
You
situations.
find a way to lose that. So you know what I'm saying? It was all for me. It was predicted that he would, you know, mess up big time. But as far as Biden goes, you know, Biden, like one of the things they tried to say about him was, well, he's been in politics too long. He's been in Washington 37 years, and what has he done? Again, you know, experience is always something that you want in people that are going to lead the country. You don't want people that come in there where their experience is to mess everything up. And that's what Trump had done his whole life. He squandered all that money his dad gave him, blah, blah, blah. We know the story. But it's good, because under Obama and Biden has brought in a lot of Obama people. And like you said, they had that pandemic response team, and they had scientists and all over the globe, in China and Africa, and back during the Ebola scare, the way that we got on top of that and didn't let it really mess up our country that bad was we sent scientists over to Africa. You know what I'm saying? To study the virus, to find out what you got to do to get it under control, to find out how to wrap your arms around it, to find out how to not let it destroy. And it wreaked havoc in Africa, but it never, really came here. I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 cases or something like that, and a few people died. I might be wrong on that, but it's something like that. Then, we had the swine flu, which originated here, and we was able to get our arms around that. You know what I'm saying? That was just a flu strain. It wasn't a coronavirus. So with Biden having that kind of experience, because he was a part of that administration, of course he gonna know what he's doing because he already did it. He's not going to take that one. This is America, and we just handle everything on our own. He's not going to pull scientists from around the globe. You don't do that, If you can't, if you do that, you can't see what's going on. And it was when I found out, and this was before the COVID came here. When I found out that out of spite, that's all it was. It was out of spite.
A lot of it was out of spite.
That Trump pulled the science program that Obama started out of all of these countries. I said, "Oh my God!" And even back then when that happened, it was a guy, I can't think of his name and I can't remember his position. And he said, "This is the worst thing that has happened to America, and we're not going to be ready if something pop up because of what Trump has done." He called it.
Called it way back.
Years ago, 2-3 years ago. He called it, and here we are.
We need, once the show gets bigger, we're going to have to get a fact checker team. We're going to have a bunch of people around giving us information and feeding it to us while we're still talking. All that other fun stuff. But we're not there yet. We'll get there. We're building slowly.
Right. Slow build.
So we won't keep harping on just where we at with the virus and everything. Let's talk about something near and dear. 2 things near and dear to our heart, good things. Well, sports is the number one thing. But let's talk about our team and our Cleveland Browns, because from Cleveland, and I got to talk about the Browns when they're good, because who knows how often that'll be. But let's talk about how our team is doing right now. We are facing, today is Sunday, and tonight we're going to be facing the Giants. We just lost a heartbreaker on Monday night last week to the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm expecting us to win this game. I hope that's the case, and I'm expecting us to go to the playoffs. What do you forecast for our Cleveland Browns?
No, the Browns, first of all, tonight they're going to win that game. I mean, look, you got Colt McCoy starting. The Giants' top cornerback is out. I know they were talking about Ingram probably not playing at tight end, and that's one of the big targets.
Better players, right?
And then you got Freddie calling plays for the Giants. You know what I'm saying? This gonna be a wrap, and I think what the Browns need to do is, because if you've been watching these games today, all of the teams that either chasing them or all of the teams that's currently in the playoffs, if they started today, they all showed out today. They did their thing. So the Browns got to do the same thing. So I'm just happy, when the last time we seen something like this? 2000.
It's been a while.
Even though they didn't make the playoffs, they still went 10-6.
10-6 that year, right? And Now, I don't want to bomb on Freddie Kitchens too bad because not last year, but the year before that, we was like, "Hey, man, look at them plays he calling." So we
Oh
was on it with his plays a couple years
yeah,
ago.
oh yeah.
So I don't want to go saying he stinks.
He
So
stinks. No, you know what I'm saying? Because
he messed up his chance
he
here. So
couldn't do it 2 years in a row, and once he got his hands on his own playbook and developed his own playbook, it was not the same. It
it
was
was not the
terrible.
same.
It was
It
terrible.
regressed a lot.
And
Had more weapons and
right,
regressed.
and like I think one of the things about that season, Baker. I'm going back to Baker's rookie season. Even that staff that was left over after Hugh Jackson got fired and Todd Haley got fired, there still was a lot of staff left over. And I think, and even some of the Browns have come out and said this as well, it was people on that staff that kept Baker in check. Even Greg Williams stayed behind to an extent. You know, he didn't put up with no shit. So I think it was more the other people than it was Freddie. Freddie was calling the plays, yeah, but he didn't have that, you know, I'm the number one guy mentality, attitude back when Baker was a rookie. But once he got that head coaching job, he felt like he didn't have to listen to nobody. Because
combination of stuff, those egos always come into play.
And like Jarvis Landry was talking about it, he said, man, after the first 15 scripted plays, we were just out there playing backyard football. You can't do that in the NFL. You can't do that in the NFL. That's why it was so bad. You know. But yeah, Freddie stink. Stink like the worst thing on earth.
Well, our guy now, he's doing pretty good. Stefanski, I like him a lot.
He's that dude. He's off.
Coach of the Year candidate?
Should be. Probably won't win it. He should though. I mean, look.
Probably won't win it.
He gonna get the Browns in the playoffs his first year.
Yeah.
He should be the runaway coach of the year. But it ain't gonna happen.
That's what I think too.
It would make sense. It should make sense to everybody, but you know, whatever.
Well, Flores in Miami, he turned them around. They look good. And you know what? That's a Belichick guy that's actually doing well because usually they go branch off on their own and they stink. But this is one of the Judge, he's doing okay, but that division is so bad. That NFC East is.
He's now dealing with a lot of injuries. So, but yeah, if it was me, I would put Stefanski 1. Then I would put Flores. I don't know after that, but yeah.
A lot of people gonna say Tomlin, Pittsburgh, because they ran off all them games, but they was beating teams they were supposed to beat. To me,
right. But they done lost 2 games in a row towards during crunch time. You know, you can't be losing 2 games in a row. Like if the Browns happen to lose tonight, I mean, you got to drop Stefanski down the peg.
Stefanski out.
And put Flores back, on top of him because they beat the Patriots today. He beat his old boss.
Yeah. But the Steelers, they won some games that, like the Dallas game, they were losing that game the whole time, and they came back and won that one. So that's who I would put 3. But we'll see what happens.
I can see it, but I don't think it's there.
All right, and so our last topic that I want to go over with you, again, we're in the sports realm, entertainment. Let's talk about these Cleveland Indians getting rid of their name. I know you were a guy, I want the Indian. I'm keeping it around. I'm going to promote it even more, even higher. I was like, it can go. If somebody's offended, it can go. So now that they've made the decision to make the name change, what direction, what's some ideas you have for the team?
I mean, it is what it is. My thing is, do they change the colors too, though?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. What's your idea? What do you think they should do? Total from the bottom up, or what should they do?
I think if they go get rid of the name and all that, they got to do everything else because those colors are synonymous with the Cleveland Indians. You know, so if you're going to
any ideas?
And I don't know, man. I ain't even wrapped my head around that yet. You know.
Well, I see a lot of people talking about the spiders because that was our old name from before. Even with the same colors, having that navy with the red spider. Have you seen that?
Yeah, but I mean, if you gonna be a spider, are there blue spiders?
I,
I'm looking at a
I don't
spider on
know.
my floor right now. It's black.
Well,
It's black.
the thing I was
I mean,
thinking,
Spider-Man
the thing,
blue and red though.
yeah, there you go. See,
Spider-Man,
you talking yourself into it.
yeah, well, maybe they can keep the colors. But I like the Guardians.
I like the Guardians too. I like the Guardians and I like the Sentinels. Those are because I was thinking about the bridge and how you have them standing over the bridge, protecting the
Right.
bridge. Looks
Yeah.
like so. Those are my two. But I wouldn't be mad at spiders. And then I was telling somebody else, why don't we just join the Sox movement and be the Blue Sox? Because you got the White Sox and the Red Sox, and then you have the Blue Sox, and then you have red, white, and blue. It'd be like
I
America.
mean, yeah, that could work. What about the Cleveland Shoremen? I like that. Well, I had seen that somewhere.
I haven't heard of that one. I mean, we don't use that water for anything else. Why not
Right.
use
Yeah,
it for
people
a good name?
name the team after it. I mean, we got all these shores
Yep.
around here. The Cleveland Shoremen.
I like that. I'm always partial to names that aren't plural or can't be pluralized. Like I said, like the Sox, like the Heat, like the Thunder, names like that. I don't know why I like those kind of names, but
Right.
just
I can think.
something that can't be and something that can't be plural. So, well, before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to share with us until the next time we get to hang out?
Need people down there in Georgia to get out and vote.
Okay.
Like I've been paying.
We got some
Right.
friends in
A
Georgia.
lot of friends down there. But I had seen this article. It was talking about more people have requested mail-in ballots, first-time mail-in ballots down there in history. You know, for the first time in history. And it said that more people has requested them that didn't request them, that didn't vote in the presidential election, and they're requesting them now. And they have a lot of first-time registered voters that have signed up since the election, and those type of stats and figures always play good for Democrats. But I don't know why, but it just does. I guess, you know, since the Republican Party is typically an older party, a lot of their voters are typically older. They're already registered to vote. So,
okay, that makes sense.
As you know, as those numbers keep, and they're like in the hundreds of thousands. So as those numbers keep climbing, that's good for the Democratic Party because, you know, Biden won't be able to get nothing done if the Republicans still hold the Senate. They're going to try to block him at every turn. So yeah, everybody down there in Atlanta, Georgia, everybody down there in Stone Mountain, everybody down there in Savannah, anywhere down there, you need to get out and vote, and vote for the Democrats. Don't vote for them other two clowns.
No, I'm not gonna say that. You want them to vote. you can. You have every right to. Hey, that's why we have you on here.
I'm going to say it. Look at I'm gonna say this. Then I'm done. The two Republican people that are running, they use the pandemic to enrich themselves, but spoke out about people getting stimulus money that didn't have jobs. They sold stocks that would lose, both of them, not one, both of them sold stocks that would lose them money because they have first-hand information. They sold stocks that would lose them money and bought stocks that will make them rich. While at the same time telling the people that's just out here trying to get by, you don't need money. You can't have somebody like that in leadership, in my opinion.
I understand and agree, but I'm not going to tell people which way to vote.
All
That's
right.
just me. So, okay. Well, like I said, again, thanks for joining us, and I will talk to you again later on down the line. And appreciate you coming on. Be good, sir.
Yes, sir. Until next time.
All right.
Yep.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the show. Department 3C presents a podcast. Today we had two good conversations with different people. And at the end, I just wanted to do a little small segment called Connected to Fire. I just want to talk about how these conversations are connected to fire. So my one conversation with the first person we had, Antoine Cruz, we were firemen together. We were first responders together. That's how it's connected to fire. Got to learn a little bit about our past from where we worked and where we're currently working now. And then the second part, when I speak to my buddy Troy, he's known me for forever and he knows about my life. He kind of knows how I got to the point where I wanted to be a firefighter, and he kind of pushed me. Even at one point, he was like, "Why didn't you tell me it was this good being a firefighter?" So he always is there to promote me and push me, and that's how it's connected to fire for me through him. So just wanted to let that be known. If you get a chance, please like, share, comment, check out the content that we have at Department 3C. It's the www.department3c.com, or you can go to www.dept3c.com. So I have the short version, the long version, but please check out the show, check out the content, and let me know what you would like to hear, what I can do better, because at the end of the day, I'm just here to serve, and I want to get all the best content I can put out there for people to listen to. Again, thank you for listening to the show, especially if you listen this far, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.
This has been a Fire and Iron Media production. You have something to say, people want to listen. How's that, Daddy?